You will drown in eternal night.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and to another Mortal Kombat mobile character review. Today we are taking a closer look at Klassic Jade. We will go through all of her special attacks, her basic attacks, her fatal blow, her passive and everything else she brings to MK Mobile. Klassic Jade is part of the Outworld class and her passive is called Mistress of Bujutsu. Klassic Jade has 80% chance to apply blind on any special attack. Every time an opponent misses an attack, Klassic Jade gains 10% speed increase for 15 seconds, stacking up to 50%. Klassic teammates are immune to snare. Klassic Jade is a gold card and was released with update 3.2 on the 1st of April 2021. As to be expected with the game, there are of course several paywall packs where you can obtain Klassic Jade, but there was also one soul pack which stirred quite a controversy in the community, and that was the gold female ninja pack, simply by restricting the purchases to 10 packs only. But to close this segment off, Jade is maxed out with level 60 and Fusion X. Jade's gear piece is the Bujutsu staff and it gives you 25% critical hit chance boost. Every missed attack boosts Jade's attack damage by 60%, which is of course for Jade characters only, and 25% damage boost against enemies affected by bleed or poison. In terms of her feats of strength, she will have to win 500 matches in battle mode to unlock her rune. For her victory stances, she will have to win 750 matches in faction wars. For her taunts, she has to knock out 500 Kitana enemies. For her icons, she has to knock out 1000 enemies. For her backgrounds, she will have to win 200 matches in challenge mode. And for her titles, she has to perform 3000 combo enders. And now we are taking a closer look at the victory stances one by one, starting with Double Down. The next one is No Chance. Third would be the Staff Cutter. And exclusive for Klassic Jade only, the Counter Strike. And on your victory screen it will look like this. Now I'm going to show you all of her backgrounds. Next we have the icons. And finally the titles. Klassic Jade has two kinds of combo enders. The first one consists of 4 kicks, knocking the opponent down to the ground. On her second combo ender, she starts with 2 punches, then uses the staff, transitions into kicks, and then finishes that one off finally with another staff attack, also knocking the opponent down to the ground. Her special one is called Double Razor and has a snare debuff tied to it. It is pretty much identical with the special one of MK11 Jade, and it is capable of knocking out your opponent. Her special 2 attack is called Divine Forces, and it has a cripple effect tied to it. It is also capable of knocking out your opponent, and this one looks pretty good, and especially because it also kind of makes use of that kick that you would only usually get from her brutality gear. It is nice to see this one transitioning over to the gold variation. Her fatal blow is called Spinning Shadow and has a luck debuff tied to it. This is yet another move that was copied from the MK11 Jade variation, and despite being my favorite fatal blow in the game, I would have actually loved to see something a little bit different from the gold card. Her passive is pretty simple to explain. Once she applies blind with any of her special attacks, there is a chance that the opponent misses, and with each miss she will gain a speed buff for that, stacking up to 5 times. So now it's time to recommend some gear again, and my first choice would be the Edenian Force Rejection Field. This one is a tower epic, and the main property here is that blind opponents might also miss on a special attack, which for this Jade variation then of course means that she gets another speed buff from that. My second choice, and this is more of a troll item for Jade, would be Acid Dragon's Tekokagi. Technically it is the rare piece for Reptile to perform his brutality, but it also has this effect that you could apply blind on special attack 1 use. Since she already has 80% from her passive to kick in, this gear piece might kick in case the passive wouldn't. So in other words, absolutely not needed for her, but it's just still fun to use it to kind of have this almost guaranteed blindness effect. Then choice number 3, always useful, the Rusty Chainsaw, reducing the power costs of Special 2 by 50%, as well as giving you a basic attack block breaker. In this case then basically you cripple them with a special 2, you still have the special 1 ready to go, you can snare them and then tag to somebody else to finish the job. My choice number 4 would be the Shadow Sash, simply because that one applies blindness already at the beginning of the match, and you don't even have to give this gear piece to Jade herself, because anybody in your team could have this gear on and it would still apply blindness to the entire opponent team. So if you're playing Classic Jade, make sure that somebody in the team wears the Shadow Sash. But now the winner in my book, and that is of course her own gear piece, the Bujutsu Staff. Because each time when an opponent misses, she will not get faster from her passive, but with her gear piece she will also gain 60% damage boost. And just imagine that that happens all the time, what kind of damage output you will be able to pull off after she gained a few of those. And when it comes to my personal favorite loadout at the moment, I would go with Rusty Chainsaw, the Edenian Force Rejection Field. We already spoke about those 2 pieces, and then also adding Spectre's Infernal Chains, just so that she also has the chance to power drain on Special 1, which of course makes a lot of sense when she snares the opponents to keep them in the match, that they at the same time lose the power and are not capable of pulling special attacks on her. But now moving on to the character recommendation, and the first choice would be Classic Smoke, simply because due to his passive he will also apply blindness, and that will of course then help Jade a lot once you tag her in after his passive kicked in. We can follow this trend basically now with the double team, and that would be Day of the Dead Aaron Black as well as Day of the Dead Jade. Both of them have blind on their special attack too. Unfortunately they are diamonds, so if you team her up with those two diamonds, then of course you will face pretty extreme opponents in the most cases. So she as a gold card might have a little bit of trouble, but for that you could also go with Bone Shaper Shinnok, and maybe as a little bonus character when it comes to a little bit weaker gold characters, you could even use Undercover Cassie Cage. And as usual, the winner is Day of the Dead Kitana, because she will start healing the entire Outworld teams that you're playing each time the Revenant Shield kicks in. Maybe that she knocks somebody out, somebody resurrects, so you will have the health bonus going on all the time. And since Jade is an Outworld character, she will absolutely appreciate that. Classic Jade is without a doubt a solid gold card, and if you are familiar with the gameplay of MK11 Jade, the diamond variation, you will feel a lot of similarities in there, especially when it comes to her basic attacks. Granted, at no point in time she reaches any of the heights of her diamond counterpart, but her passive making so much use of the blindness effect is actually a lot of fun and in its way a little bit unique, and there is literally only one single character who is resisting that to 100%, and that would be Commando Kano, and we all know how weak Commando Kano is, so he will definitely not be a threat. Even if he's in the match, she will still be able to snare and cripple him and basically beat the hell out of that guy, so there is nothing to worry about when it comes to that. The only thing that leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth is literally how much of MK11 Jade was copied for this gold variation, and it would have been nice to have a little bit more of her own in there instead of just another copy and paste character. And of course the big elephant in the room, and you can bet that I will put that on the con side here later on, will be the way that the pack was handled, with only 10 packs being able to be purchased, because that one was literally a slap in the face, because nobody wants to be restricted in terms of how many packs of a character you are able to buy, so that was a big thumbs down. But how about we directly move to the pro and con section. The first pro is of course that she snares her opponent on a special one, easy to reach, and keeping the opponent in the match is always useful. Then on top, having cripple on special 2, it's another very useful debuff that we have in the game, one of the best ones we actually have. Then my number 3 would be the passive overall, constantly applying blindness on special attacks and then gaining that speed buff, plus also giving a little bit of an extra here to our classic teammates by making them snare immune. I know as she was released it was a little bit bugged and it didn't work for most of the time, but that issue is now fixed. And with that we can directly move on to the negatives, and already mentioned this copy and paste thing that is going on in MK Mobile these days. We had that before, for example with Classic Smoke, and I was already ranting about that fact, but here with Jade we also have that, and I think that's just the way that the game is going nowadays, basically limiting their resources just so that they have as little work as possible, but at the same time maximum profit by constantly releasing these money packs. But moving on, my next point on the list would be the luck buff that she gets from her Fatal Blow, so the special 3. I think it's not that useful, especially so far behind, Because how many times are you actually performing a fatal blow? So you will hardly take advantage of this little buff here. It's not that useful. Maybe I would have rather seen something like shield or team power drain, such as Cold War Sonya Blade puts up, or maybe even causing team blindness, because then she and Kitana would have that in common. But of course that would be nothing, that would weigh down her rating. And then let's get to my final point, and I already said that this will be coming up, and those are the restricted packs. I think this is total nonsense, and nobody should be restricted in how many souls we invest in a pack and how many packs we should be allowed to purchase, because since we know how horrendous these drop rates in MK Mobile sometimes are, and that you have to open many more packs than just 10 to even get one copy of a card that you want, this is just trash. But enough of the rants, let's get directly to the rating, and I will give Klassic Jade a 8 out of 10. She is a great gold card, she deserves a high rating, especially compared to some of the other cards that she is competing with. But this video here will be now competing only with the end title cards. Once again, I thank you all for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this review of Klassic Jade. And I know it's been quite a while since my last review, and mainly to blame is of course the Edenian Tower event, because we're now playing this one up and down all the time. But for now, I wanted to drop another review so that those of you who enjoy those also get a little bit of content in that direction. Other than that, have a good one and see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. In case you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button twice just to make sure. And if you want to support the channel a little further, please consider joining the Patreon family of KC Mobile Gaming. You can already do that with as little as just $1 a month. And also follow me on social media like Twitter and Facebook. You will find all the necessary information in the description below of every video. If you want to see more content, then why don't you just click on one of those two videos here. Thank you for your support. Have a good one. KC over and out for today.